Hi, I'm Cole Millward, and I've done a lot of dumb things in the pursuit of good bass tone. To paraphrase Dr. Doofenshmirtz, if I had a nickel for every time someone approached me about improving the tone of their Ibanez BTB multi-scale 5-string bass, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right? 2 unrelated friends both got in touch with me around the same time about working on their basses, which both happened to be the same exact model, and it seemed to me to be a good time to make a video about a topic I've been talking about a lot lately, and that is bass pickups and the effect that they have on tone. Fair warning, I'm going to present some straight facts about bass pickups and bass electronics in general, but I also have some pretty strong preferences, and I'm not really going to try to hold that back. Obviously, everyone has their own taste in tone, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be pretty out there about what I personally consider to be good and bad. You have been warned. I'm also not an electrical engineer, so if I happen to get some of the science not quite right, feel free to correct me in the comments, just be polite about it. That said, I'd like to think I have a pretty decent practical understanding of how all this works. So, for anyone who doesn't know how guitar and bass pickups work, basically you have a magnet or a set of magnets stuck between 2 pieces of flatwork, and those magnets get wrapped a whole bunch of times in very fine copper wire, and the ends of that wire get connected to the rest of the electronics in your instrument. When your strings move through the magnetic field, it creates an electrical current in the copper wire through a phenomenon called inductance. That current or signal then interacts with the other electronics in your instrument and that your instrument is connected to, like preamps, effects, amplifiers, etc., and then eventually gets translated by a speaker into a sound that you can hear. The simplest pickups, like I've just described, have only 1 coil of wire, and we literally call them single coils. You can find them in guitars like the Fender Strat or basses like the Fender Jazz Bass, and they have a bit of a downside. They're noisy. All that copper sort of acts like an antenna, so it's very easy for electrical noise and radio noise to worm its way into the signal. Some smart people figured out decades ago that if you use 2 single coils together, wrapped a particular way, the noise would get canceled out while the desired instrument signal was kept. That's how the humbucker pickup came to be, and they've been really popular on guitars ever since. Now, there's a side effect to putting 2 coils together like this. Since they both can't share the exact same spot under the strings, each coil is detecting a slightly different picture of the strings from each other. When the 2 coils get wired together, you get some frequency cancellation as the 2 different pictures merge. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. On a Fender Jazz, that classic scooped sound is the result of both single coils summing together and cancelling out some of the mids. Same with the Music Man Stingray, though it sounds different because the coils are closer together, so different frequencies are getting cancelled. This is where I'm going to get opinionated, so I will just say really quick that I love the sound of J basses and Stingrays. What I don't love, however, are the kinds of pickups that are installed in the majority of modern basses today, especially entry-level offerings from brands like Schecter, ESP, Yamaha, and Ibanez, among others. Most of these pickups are dual coil, like the one in the Stingray, but with the coils even closer together. Pushing the coils closer together like this results in a frequency cancellation character that to me is frankly awful. The cancellation even ends up reaching higher up into the frequency range, so you lose the high mids where the clarity lives, and the less pleasant, hunkier mid-range actually gets accentuated. And because the clarity of the high mids gets lost, the low end winds up sounding muddy. It is my belief that when an owner of a bass with pickups like this jumps on an online forum asking how to improve their tone, most of the time this is the problem. Check out this comparison between my friend's Ibanez and one of my own Ormsby basses. Both basses have essentially the same scale length, 37-inch low B on the Ibanez, 36.9 on my Ormsby. The strings on both are new, the active preamps on both are bypassed, and I'm recording pure DIs into my interface, so you're hearing the most honest pickup comparison I can show. Check this out. The Ormsby absolutely blows the Ibanez out of the water, and the reason is simple. They don't have the same kind of pickups. See, there's another solution to the single coil noise problem, an alternative to the guitar humbucker sort of design. And we see that solution with the one very important classic bass model I haven't mentioned yet. The Fender P-Bass. The P-Bass has what is called split coil pickup design. It still technically has two coils, but each coil only detects half the strings instead of all of them. The result is something that comes a lot closer to the clarity of single coils, but without the noise. That kind of design is exactly what's going on underneath the pickup covers on my Ormsby basses. These pickups are the Dingstrand Nordwalls, the Nordstrand-built versions of the pickups found in Dingwall basses. They're split coils like P-Bass pickups, but with thinner coils. As a matter of fact, I have the parts from one of these pickups that I broke a few years ago, and it can now serve as the perfect visual aid. You can see if I take this top part off, two coils, and they each cover 3 strings because this is a 6-string model. So since I have 3 of these pickups in each of my Ormsby basses, I can use a rotary switch to combine them in a few different ways, approximating the tone of other basses like the P-Bass, the Jazz Bass, and the Stingray. But this isn't a video about how much I love my Ormsbys. This is a video about how much I hate dual coils like what Ibanez puts in basses like this, and about what I'm going to try to do to improve them. Fortunately, with these T1 pickups, Ibanez gave us access to the wires for each coil, which you don't necessarily get with every dual coil pickup. I think that's because these pickups are clearly supposed to be like separate single coils with the potential to be wired differently from how they come stock. And since it's not really in the cards to replace the pickups in this bass, rewiring it is exactly what I'm going to do. Control-wise, these basses come with a standard layout of volume pot, pickup blend pot, and 3 EQ pots. There's also a switch for bypassing the active EQ, as well as a switch for changing the mid-band frequency of the active EQ. Pickup blends are not especially useful to me. Even back when I played basses that had blend pots, I only ever used full neck pickup, full bridge pickup, or even blend of both. In other words, I used it like the pickup selector switch on a guitar. That's why I far prefer the rotary switch solution that I have in my Ormsbys and that Dingwall basses use as well. So with the approval of my friends, the owners of the 2 Ibanez BTB basses that I'll be working on, I'll be replacing the blend pot with a 6-way switch that will give us 6 different combinations of the 4 total coils. My goal is to get at least one good combo of a single coil from the neck pickup and a single coil from the bridge pickup. Hopefully that'll get us closer to that clear, aggressive, somewhat scooped jazz bass sound that is my go-to setting on my Ormsbys. We should get a much more pleasant frequency cancellation character than when all 4 coils are on at once, as they are now in the center position on the blend pot. Additionally, there are a couple other benefits to me doing it this way. For one, all coil combinations will be in parallel, even the ones where I'm still combining the 2 coils of the bridge pickup or the 2 from the neck pickup. This will give us some more treble back. It will also decrease our output a little bit, but I'm really not worried about that because most rigs these days can account for a wide variety of instrument output levels. Additionally, all pots, even blend pots, cause a little bit of treble loss themselves, depending on the matchup of their impedance value with your pickup's impedance value. Switches, on the other hand, don't have impedance. They either make contact or they don't. So the other benefit of replacing a blend pot with the rotary switch is that we'll get a little bit of treble back that way as well. Now, obviously not everyone's goal is going to be to get more treble in their tone. If you prefer a more muted, warmer tone, this fix may not sound all that exciting to you. But my mentality here is that it's always easier to EQ out frequencies you don't want later than to try to EQ in frequencies that aren't there in the first place. Plus, the respective owners of these basses are both more in the rock and metal sphere, so more clarity in their tone is exactly what they're going for. With all that preamble out of the way, now I'm going to take the blend pot out of this bass and wire up a switch that will let me test the different combinations of single coils. That'll tell me which combinations sound best. Okay, it's the next morning. I've got the test switch in. Let's roll through the different settings and see what sounds best. Once again, this is just the DI straight into the interface with the onboard EQ off. Okay, it's the next day again, so I've had a little time to analyze the results of the test. Honestly, my initial reaction is to pat myself on the back a little because I was absolutely right. Replacing the pot with a switch and wiring all the coils in parallel gave us back a ton of usable treble. Just really quick, here's a rapid-fire comparison between the soloed neck and bridge pickups before and how they are now. To me, that difference is night and day. Now, when it comes to the different combinations of single coils from the neck and bridge, this is where it got a little tricky for me. Personally, I think they all sounded good, and certainly heaps better than all 4 coils wired together with the blend pot. However, there is something I considered while wiring up the test switch, and it proved to be true. 2 particular combinations are not really a good idea, and that is the inner bridge coil and outer neck coil, and the inner neck coil and outer bridge coil. And it's because those coils are wound the same way, and they have the same magnetic polarity, so they will not have noise cancellation. And just to confirm that, I went in after I recorded the test snippets and boosted the gain a bunch on just the little bits of track when I was switching from the inner 2 coils to the neck in bridge out combo, and when I was switching from the neck out bridge in combo to the both outer coils combo. Since noise cancellation is still a priority here, that makes the decision a bit easier. And yes, I am aware that I could actually take the pickups out and rearrange which coil goes where if I really wanted those particular combinations. But fortunately, even though I think all these neck and bridge single coil combos sound good, I like the other 2 the best. For one, the 2 inner coils sound the most like the neck and bridge combo on my Ormsbys. That's sort of my go-to setting, so obviously I'm going to like that. But the 2 outer coils together have this really cool hollowness that reminds me even more of a Fender Jazz, and I think that would be a really cool tone to have on a bass like this. Sort of a more modern take with the 2 inner coils and a more old school take with the outer coils. Now that we've sort of figured out what sounds best, I'm going to rewire the rotary switch to have the layout my friend requested, since he actually wanted some positions that were just single coil neck or single coil bridge. Let's get it wired up. And it's the next day again, but it's all done. Here's the finished product. And just for good measure, let's demo all the pickup positions we have now. For position 1, we have both bridge coils. Then the bridge inner coil soloed. Then both inner coils. My favorite setting. Then both outer coils. Then the neck inner coil. And finally, both neck coils. To me, that is all just a tremendous improvement over the stock wiring. Like some of these settings, I would be more than happy to use on a record. Just a couple more things before I wrap this up. I'm very glad we were able to get some good tones out of this bass, but it's still not my ideal situation. What we've done here is just the best we can do with the stock pickups. I personally would want to have single coil sounding options, but still noise canceling. My Ormsbys have those since the pickups are split coils. So if you're dealing with uninspiring bass tone due due to dual coil pickups, and you have the money to spend on a pickup change, let me show you the sort of thing to look for. Here are a couple websites for some pickup manufacturers. Bartolini as a brand I think is a little divisive. Personally, I've never been impressed by them, but I fully believe that's because their dual coil models are the most commonly used for some reason. Their website here shows their pickup coil layouts in a pretty friendly way. As you can see, they have a few models here that are pretty obviously split coil, like the original splits, the J soap bar, and the P soap bar. I imagine these quad coil pickups could probably be set up to act like split coils with the right switch wiring. I hope I get the opportunity someday to hear what their splits sound like, because I have a feeling that might change my opinion on the brand as a whole. Anyway, let's scoot over to Nordstrand, a brand that I hold in fairly high regard. After all, they constructed the pickups that I use. And there they are, the Dingstrand Nordwalls. You already know that those are split coils because I showed you the guts of one. And I'm sure it won't be any surprise when I tell you that the big splits are as well. The fat stack would probably also be fine. It isn't a split coil design, but rather a stacked coil design, or two coils stacked one on top of the other. It'll still be noise canceling and keeps the kind of narrow focus on the strings that single coils have. All the others are either dual coils or non-noise canceling singles or blades, which I haven't had great experience with. Personally, I would stay away from all of those. Last website here is for Lecompte bass pickups, and they have some pretty interesting offerings. They actually have some designs where you get 3 pull pieces per string, which I haven't seen anyone else do. I don't think I'd go for them because, once again, I prefer the narrower focus you find on jazz bass pickups. And sure enough, if we scroll down a bit further, we find the split coil designs, the crooked J splits and the standard J splits. Obviously, there are more pickup manufacturers out there. Those are just some examples of what I would be looking at if I were in the market for new pickups. I really appreciate it if you've stuck around this long. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a really long time, because I've spent my share of time suffering from subpar bass tone due to dual coils. And I see so many bassists continuing to suffer from it. I see people asking all the time if their tone will be fixed by getting a new onboard preamp, or by getting a new amp, or distortion pedal, or plug-in. And though all of those things can absolutely help you home in on your perfect sound, a good bass tone starts, electronically speaking, with your pickups. If you have good pickups, chances are you'll enjoy playing your bass through just about any rig. I love playing my Ormsbys through my Fractal FM9, which I made a video about. Definitely go watch it if you're interested in seeing how I construct the rest of my tone. But the truth is, I also get a lot of joy from plugging it straight into one of the little combo amps at the music school I teach at, or straight into an interface or DI box with no further processing on it. Anyway, that's it. I don't make videos very often, pretty much just when there's a bass or audio related topic I'm just getting the itch to talk about, but feel free to subscribe if you found this useful so you won't miss the next one. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram, where I post short bass videos and clips from gigs that I play. Also check out my prog band No Spoon. We've got a couple records out and we're working on the next one. That music is a great way for you to hear my kind of bass tone in action. Anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.